Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a discussion video to do today for the format of how I do my player reviews and all that fun stuff. So, I've already done a video like this in the past. It wasn't too long ago. I think it was like around here. We need to talk about a few things with the player reviews. So we've already discussed about this, right? And I'm gonna title this specifically um, based off of like, oh, the format of my player reviews, something like that, right? And the reason why I'm gonna be doing this is because I just want this video to be on the YouTube channel. But at the end of the day, in the future, when I do player reviews and I keep doing the same format of how I do my player reviews, you're always going to get people that don't like how you do it, okay? Okay, before I get really started, I do want to say, guys, a huge thank you to you guys for how the YouTube channel has been doing recently, because genuinely it has actually relieved a lot of stress from me because of how FIFA is in general, right? Like, to be honest with you guys, most of the times that I hop on this game during live content or even at 3 or 4 o'clock, the gameplay is always at its worst. I know that people, when they look at the player reviews, they're always like, oh, this gameplay looks incredible, but it's because when I'm recording and the Elgato is showing you guys the gameplay, it always looks smoother. People who compensate for how gameplay are just good at compensating for gameplay being bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how it is most of the times. Because I'll be honest with you guys, when I have to like grind objective cards or I have to do anything for 1 o'clock, it's never good. I can't remember the last time the gameplay has been at the very least playable. It gets kind of playable at like 6 nowadays. It's very strange, but playable is like the least you can ask for, and it's not the thing that you get mostly, right? So with that being said, gameplay aside, all that good stuff, the format of the player reviews, right? Okay, so the main things that people don't like about the player reviews is how much I often look at attacking AI more than anything else, even though that's not always the case because I'm still testing out the shooting and the passing and stuff, right? And it's also it was attacking AI, and it was, oh, the amount of games that I played, right? Okay, before I get into it for the specific players, right? Guys, this is how I've always played FIFA. This has never been different, okay? Before I did the play reviews for FIFA 20 or 19 for Footmiss, that's when I started doing it consistently, right? This is how I played FIFA. I would literally buy a card, and within the first game of me using that card, I would get rid of him because he didn't meet certain criterias for me to use him in the game. And the biggest things for me when it comes to meeting certain criterias, honestly, is, and these are the two biggest things on the channel, right? It's body type to dribbling, right? Body type to dribbling and attacking AI. Those are the two biggest things that we look at over here on this channel. And I think that's why the videos may be unique to a lot of people, because it wasn't really looked at that way from before, right? But it's something that I always look at when it comes to checking out the players. Okay, so let's check out Wayne Rooney's card, right? If I give this card an engine chemistry style, right? He has 94 acceleration, 91 sprint speed, he's got 91 agility with 90 balance, right? And his shooting is in these stats. A lot of people get really upset if I don't test out a lot of different shots with Wayne Rooney's card. Guys, if your base stats look like this is not FIFA 13 anymore, okay? FIFA 13 and 12, I think it might have been even FIFA 14. I can't remember. I think it was mostly 12 and 13. You can use silver cards that have certain shooting stats, and those shooting stats were completely irrelevant because they would perform significantly better. A good example of that is S-Wine's card back in the day being literally just below Ronaldo in regards to quality in game, in my opinion, because I used to use both at the time, right? S1 was disgusting. I remember my friend coming over using S1 and being like, "Yo, why is this card so good?" In my opinion, and you guys don't have to view anything that I'm saying right now as fact, as the, you know, like the gospel. It's nothing like that, okay? I'm just saying what I think, okay? If your shooting stats look like this, right, and we take a look at the traits, and he has the outside foot shot trait, but he doesn't have the finesse shot trait, the only shot that isn't going to be crazy specific from specific angles is going to be the finesse shot. Okay? Because when you have shooting stats like this, there's going to be a combination of things that are going to affect the shooting. One is going to be how the gameplay feels. If your gameplay doesn't even allow you to boost up a shot, then you won't be able to always consistently hit the right shots with Wayne Rooney. But if you have shooting stats like this, guys, from base, and this is the most important thing, from base stats, these shooting stats are really good. Like I said, the only thing that you're going to notice that's going to be off is the finesse shots because he doesn't have the traits. But even if he doesn't have the traits, when you're at 99 shot power, 94 finishing with 94 long shots at 99 composure, you can still hit good finesse shots. But there is that specific finesse shot that they're not going to hit consistently. You know, the ones that Lionel Messi hits, the ones that Mahrez hits, right? Like there are the specific, crisp, direct, powerful finesse shots that these guys will not hit, right? But they could still hit them well. For instance, I use Suarez's card, and Suarez hits great finesse shots, but he doesn't take that specific one. But he still has the right stats to compensate enough for it. And I'll show you guys an example of it, right? So with the Moment Suarez card, take a look at his base card stats. He has no finesse shot trait, only the outside foot shot trait. But look at the shooting stats that this card has with the 93 composure. Guys, if you give a card like this, the engine chemistry style, it'll be very similar in regards to Wayne Rooney without the pace, right? Because the shooting, right, is all going to be noticeable from base card stats, okay? So the shooting is something that you're not going to see me popping in random shots, because in FIFA, when you play this game, it doesn't even matter who you are using, right? If you take low percentage strikes, they will be inconsistent. If you take high percentage strikes, they will be more consistent, but they won't always go in, right? There are games that you play where you can have Cristiano Ronaldo in your team, and from certain angles, you think that he'll hit the direct opposite side, you know, cross body, and he'll hit it in the middle of the goalkeeper. That's just how the shooting works in this game. It doesn't mean that Ronaldo's finishing is bad, because he won't do that consistently. That's just how the gameplay is in FIFA. So when your shooting stats is already like this, there's not really much to analyze other than the fact that his finesse shots are not going to have that specific finesse shot. There's not much to see, right? So for me, when I did this review for Wayne Rooney's card and I gave him the engine chemistry style, what are the two things that you have to analyze the most, because that's your general experience of playing the game? The two things is going to be body type to dribbling, right? And it's also going to be it's body type to dribbling and attacking AI. Those are the two things that I always look at, because when you look at this card, guys, those are the only things you have to look at this point. Because if he already has 94 acceleration with 91 sprint speed, you have to understand, right, that with the stocky body type will affect their pace and it'll affect their dribbling, right? That's just how it works, okay? So the two things that I'm testing, again, with attacking AI and dribbling with the stocky body type is very important. Those are the two things you have to analyze the most. So with Wayne Rooney, and this has always been the case with me with these cards, right? If you have 86 agility and 80 balance, yes, these stats over here are in the 90s, so they will compensate for the agility and balance being as it is. But because the agility and balance are not base card stats at 90, there is an inconsistency to how a card will perform in-game. And that's when you do the player review to see if there is a surprise factor. That's the biggest thing, right? It's a surprise factor of how these cards are going to perform in-game. If he has base dribbling stats like that with a stocky body type, I would say if there's a very high percentage chance that his dribbling is not going to be very responsive. And it's weird, right? Because if you give him an engine chemistry style, they're all in the 90s, so it should feel responsive. But that's just how the gameplay works. If your gameplay is not up to par, it'll feel even worse. If your gameplay is up to par, you will still feel the stocky body type to his dribbling stats. Now, does that necessarily make it a bad thing? No, it does not, okay? Because you can still compensate because his other stats are really good, okay? When I was taking a look at Wayne Rooney's attacking AI, I mentioned to people how he has selective attacking AI. So on this channel, we have different ones, right? We have attacking AI that is more conservative, right? We have attacking AI that is more aggressive, and then we have attacking AI that is more selective. You know how sometimes when you're about to make a pass to a certain player, he doesn't continue that run? That is something you have to notice when you are playing the game. Sometimes people will do side runs or middle runs or whatever because they're doing disguised runs to open up the space for other players. Because here's the thing, right, guys? If you use a card like Wayne Rooney in the striker position or the cam position, guess what? The guys that you have around that Rooney card is going to affect his attacking AI, right? So the important thing is to use like very basic instructions and tactics. Like for me, I usually use the 4-2-3-1 with 4 and 5. And then with the 4-4-2, I use like a 7 with 5 for players in the box because I need to see what the base characteristics of the card is first, right? So because I realized that Rooney has very selective attacking AI, for me personally, that's when I would use him as a secondary striker or center mid. If you guys use cards in this game, tell me you haven't used a player like Flashback Higuain or Kylian Mbappe. Tell me if their attacking AI as a striker isn't significantly better than a lot of the players in this game. It is. And it's, for me, it's even better than Rooney's attacking AI because they're, and guys, this is completely opinion based, okay? 100% opinion based because just because I don't like your attacking AI to the maximum of its capability doesn't mean I can't use the card. I can, but I have to see how you're moving to see how I have to move with the other players in my team, okay? With players like Kylian Mbappe and Flashback Higuain, for me, I don't have to worry about it as much. I don't have to force certain instructions out of the card because here's the thing for me, guys, okay? If I really like your attacking AI from base stuff, right? So with Higuain and Mbappe, I had no instructions on these two. If I like your attacking AI from base things, if I give you the get and behind instruction, it's going to be even better for the certain situations in game. Really good example of this. When I was using Jack Grealish's card, and you guys can go check out the review now, and I've played more games with him, and he still feels the same for me. It's not like it's going to feel any different. When I use Jack Grealish's card, the one thing I notice about him is aggressive attacking AI. Players, not all the players you use moves like that. It's just not the case. You know what I'm saying? It was the most noticeable thing that you see in game. In that review, we mentioned how his dribbling to body type is affected a little bit, and then his skill moves don't obviously come off as fast. But just because that's the case with the card doesn't make the card bad, okay? It doesn't. Because that aggressive attacking AI from a base characteristic was noticeable when I put him in the striker position, okay? In the striker position, we had him on the get and behind instruction for the 4-4-2, and just look at how that card was moving across the pitch in the striker area, opening up space for the other players around your team. It was crazy because that is a base characteristic that you're working with. The reason why I focus on that the most is because I am telling you guys what his base thing is so that when you use him in your team, depending on the other players that you have in your team, you can fix the instructions for how the card will perform in game. A good example of Wayne Rooney's card is that if you want to use him as a lone striker, his dribbling is not necessarily the most responsive. But guess what? Okay, guess what? If you give a card like this, the engine chemistry style, and you have him on like a stay central target man or just a target man instruction, you have to just work that one angle with him and then just shoot because his shooting is going to be good. This right here, I don't know where this thing comes from in the community where it's like, oh, his shooting isn't as good as his stats suggest. No, the shooting is not like that. His dribbling may be like that, but there's always something that is noticeably poor or good with a card, okay? If I take a look at this example is probably the best example when it comes to a player that performs better than how he should. You see this guy right here, Varane? Okay. The reason why this card performs significantly better than what it suggests is because his agility, balance, dribbling, and ball control by default should make him a poor player. By default, it should. 90% of players, 95% of players that have dribbling stats like that are going to be bad in this game. But you don't know that for sure. That's when you use the card. Guys, I'll tell you guys this right now. When I use this Varane card, within the first game, I already knew he was full meta. I already knew he was full meta, dude. I knew it immediately, okay? Because in the game mechanics this year, this card performs amazingly well with pace like this, defense like this, base physical stats already being good, while being a 6'3" player with a unique body type. Okay? Unique body type. Guys, is it safe to say that this card right here can hang with Team of the Year Van Dijk and Team of the Year Sergio Ramos? Yes, 100%. He can hang with them. And in some cases, he may even do better than them. It's that crazy of a card. But that's stuff that you notice if you play the game enough, you'd notice these things immediately, right? So he's one of those rare cases. If I were to do a player review for Varane, which I don't think I did at the time, if I did a player review for Varane's card, he's the surprise factor. He's the card that plays better than his stats, but there's very rare occasions where that's the case, because even people were looking at Ronaldo Sanchez's card and they were like, "Oh, this card is overpowered." The word overpowered is thrown a lot just nowadays, right? Guys, if we take a look at this informed stats, right? Look at how this card is as a midfielder, okay? As a midfielder with the shadow chemistry style, he is good at doing everything with pace while being 5'9", while having 91 stamina with 88 aggression, defensive stats like that, good dribbling stats for a midfielder, good shooting stats for a player in the midfield as well with 89 shot power. All of these things are noticeable in game, right? The 70 finishing, the 79 reactions. I notice all of those things. It plays exactly how the stats suggest. This card is not overpowered. It is good for what it is telling you. A big thing with player views or just players in FIFA, for me, that's very important, is having very high shot power. Because if your finishing is at a 70, but you get into those high percentage strikes, a card like this is going to finish a lot of opportunities for you because of the 89 shot power if you get into those high percentage strikes. Now, like I said, you can get into low percentage strikes and these guys can still probably hit those goals as well, but they won't consistently hit those goals. That's just the point of FIFA and how it works, right? So yeah, that was with Wayne Rooney's card. I'm giving you guys the inside info of how I do the reviews, guys. I don't like this is going to be a thing that people are not going to agree with, and this is fine. People on Reddit forums, Twitter, even my YouTube comment section, this is always going to be the case. But guys, I'm telling you this, okay? From my experience, I do not need most of the times, more than one game to review a card. I don't. I genuinely don't, because the things that you need, the things that are meta, you will catch and notice immediately in the game once you already know what the card stats are like for certain areas. If your base dribbling stats is like that and you have a stocky body type, I can almost expect that your dribbling is not going to be super responsive in game, but I can compensate for it with the engine chemistry style because you're good in every other area, especially with your high medium work rates. What do I have to take a look at that time? Attacking AI. He has selective attacking AI. Flashback Higuain does not have selective attacking AI. His attacking AI is actually really, really good, and he has that specific meta attacking AI that you need in this game to be able to break this defensive AI because of how crazy it is, right? So with selective attacking AI, like I said, secondary striker, center mid makes the most sense for him. I just don't need more than one or two games. I know that you guys don't have to necessarily agree with that, and that's completely fine because I understand why you guys don't agree with that. But from my experience playing this game, I don't need that. And the important thing with YouTube content and with live content, right, is that people want an opinion of a card really quickly because they're in the menus, right? They're in the menus, building their teams and waiting to see if a card is worth getting, right? So, they might have their doubts in their head, like, okay, he has stocky body type, his dribbling stats like this. Let me see if Inception or Ozio or Nick or Zway, let me see if they feel the same way about this, right? Because this is going to be like a deal breaker for me. Some people will not do this Wayne Rooney card because of that dribbling. There's just people like that. But a lot of people will do this card because of sentimental value and because he's a really fun card to use because he's an incredibly usable version of his card. Right? What's another card? Another card that people really hated how I did the player review on. Not really hated. It's like I said. It's like I'm not projecting the few to the masses because this is obviously just a discussion video. But Aouar's card was a really good example of a card that people really disliked the way that I did the player review for. Because with Aouar's card, guys, I didn't use him as a striker, right? And let me ask you guys this question right now, right? When you guys see this Aouar card being used in a pro player team or in a Division 1 game or this or that, can you guys let me know where you see this card being used mostly? If your answer is the midfield position, that is the correct answer. Because I'll tell you guys this right now, and I've been playing games to get my gameplay objective cards to do this, do that, Division Rivals. Every time I see this card being used in someone's team, it's in the midfield, right? People, when I did the review for this card, really hated that I didn't use him as a striker. Guys, the reason why I didn't use a card like this in the striker position is because if I give you a Hunter chemistry style, you are missing the dribbling stats to be more responsive in game. That's just how the game mechanics work, okay? If he is a 5'9" player, but his base dribbling stats are not in the 90s, but I have to give him. The keyword is have to give him a hunter chemistry style. Then that there's always going to be something that's going to be a missing variable with the card. Now, with Awar, it's a combination of either giving him a hunter or even giving him an engine, but for me, in the center mid position. But like I said, guys, when I do the player reviews, these are things that I catch immediately. I would never use a card like this in the striker position. You know why? Because you're not going to use him there for the longevity of the year, right? With Depay's card, you are going to use him as a striker. So I did my best to make the card work to the best of its ability, and it was a really cool card to do at the time. Now he has the inform, which, but with this card, guys, if I give him a hunter, he's still missing the dribbling. If I give him an engine, he's missing the shooting for certain areas, right? And even if I give him the engine, his base dribbling is not going to be that great, even if he's a 5'9" player. That's just how the game works, right? That's just how the game works. Again, it's not you guys need to agree with how I view these things. It's just what it is, right? With Awar, when I was using him in the cam position, a good idea when it comes to me doing the player reviews is using cards in the cam position and the striker position, because that's where I see the attacking AI the most. Because of Fernando Torres having really good attacking AI, I actually like using him as a lamb or a ram, even in a 4-2-3-1. The thing that's missing with the card, obviously, is going to be responsive dribbling. And responsive dribbling is a thing you need in every single position. But, when you're using card, not everybody's going to be super responsive. But, that's what you see the most. You see if his attacking AI works a certain way. If you guys use Messi in your team, you guys are going to use the card in your team, right? And not notice that the guy only wants to go for finesse shots. He literally has a specific attacking AI, especially on the team of the year, where he goes in circles like this to get into positions to hit it with his left foot. These are the base things that you have to notice, so that when you know the base stuff and when you're using it in your team, you know what you have to do with the rest of your team to make it work, right? A really good example of this too is Ben Yedder's card. I think Ben Yedder is a fraud this year, right? When I used his rare golds card, he was one of those cards where I knew I didn't like him, but I kept putting him back into the team because of Ronaldo Sanchez and Gelson Martins at the time in the beginning of the year. But every single time I put him back into my team, I never liked him. But guess what? A lot of people do like using Ben Yedder's card. A ton of people like using Ben Yedder's card. If I face someone right now, they could probably slap me with Ben Yedder, but he's just not the card for me, because the way that he moves with his high attacking AI is strictly meant for the cam position, ram position, right mid. As a striker, it's not something that I like to use. As a secondary striker, yes, but with high work rates, it's a cam card. And the way that my team was formatted at the time, because you guys know that I hate João Felix in the striker position, because I had him there, I was like, I cannot do this. Like, this is not going to, it's not going to work for me. If I put Ben Yedder in any position right now in the team, it's just not going to work. Because that's just the way that I view FIFA, right? So I wanted to mention this because I know that people link me a lot to the Reddit posts or the forum posts or the YouTube posts. Guys, if I wasn't fully comfortable with how I was doing player reviews or with how I've been relaying this information to you guys, then I obviously wouldn't do it, right? The reason why I do it is because I feel like I can provide you with a solid informational piece on each individual card, from base characteristics and how they perform in game and how you want your players to perform when you use them in the match, right? That's all I'm going to say. I feel like I can provide that information quickly to you guys. The reason why the reviews come out quickly, guys, is because I have 1 gig of upload and my computer renders the videos in like 5 minutes, because I bought a new computer to be able to get those out as quickly as possible to you guys. Yes, obviously, for the YouTube channel, it helps out a lot if you get the review out early. But if I get the review out early and I don't give you guys solid information on how I'm using the card, you think I get off my computer and I'm like, yes, the views are coming in and I gave them a false review? Like, there's no shot. There's no shot, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not this type of person. I get the review out quickly because I do not require, from personal experience of playing this game, I do not require maximum more than 2 games. Most of the time, the 1 game is good enough. Because understanding a card's base characteristics and then you yourself understanding what instructions you need to use because of other players in your team. I can't tell you, hey guys, use Wayne Rooney in your team, and then if you have your other 3 attackers in João Felix, Ansu Fati, and Rodrigo, this one instruction that you use is going to work for this team. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. For me at least, it doesn't work that way. If I have these types of players in the attacking positions, in the left mid, right mid, and all that positions, they influence how cards move. Okay. When I use my MLS team and I have Boyan on my team playing as a secondary striker next to Higuain, Boyan's movement is not as good as Higuain's, and it affects how the team generally performs, and it affects how your left mids and right mids perform, because if a card is more based off of the middle, cards will not often cut inside because that place is already being occupied. All of these things are noticeable as you play the game, guys. You know what you... If you're playing the game normally, if I'm attacking, guys, the one thing I'm seeing all the time, if I'm attacking or defending, the one thing I'm seeing most of the times is the AI. Where is my defensive AI position for this defensive moment right now? 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2. Where's my midfield position? Where's my left back? Where's my right back? That's the thing I'm looking at all the time. My attack. How many times do you guys attack and you see one space completely open, and you're like, if I had a certain player there, he would utilize that space immediately. Players that will make an aggressive run, understand that space is open somewhere else, they make that run instead. It happens so often because some players are very linear. Some players only cut inside. Some players don't adjust their run when there's an opening. Mbappe is a different breed attacking AI-wise. If you guys watch a Team of the Year review, like, nobody moves like that. Nobody has those stats to be able to shoot, pass, dribble. Nobody. Because that's just how the game works, guys. Okay? These things, when you are playing with the card, you notice right away. And I know in my heart, there's a lot of you guys that will do an SBC card, right? Expect them to behave a certain way. And within the first 2 games, you either dislike or like the card. And then you don't give them a chance again. Guys, from my experience of playing this game, I don't know why people need more than 2 games to review a card if you are not individually looking at how he's performing in game. People will mention, oh, it's because of the gameplay inconsistency. Guys, I hate to break it to you, but the gameplay is bad, I would say, over 90% of the times. So that's the gameplay. That is your general experience. That is your experience of using the card. That is going to be the experience. But even if your gameplay is bad, the base stuff, when it turns good, is not going to change. You know what I'm saying? So... I just wanted to make this video for the format of the player reviews. Like I said, I'm making this video now, but in the future, guys, the format of the reviews is not going to change because I like the way that I do it. I don't like, guys, I'm the type of person that if I am uncomfortable with what I am doing, then I will change it. But I'm not, because it's not scumbaggish or anything like that, because I've always played FIFA this way, right? The reason why it's becoming more of a mainstream thing now is because of how well the YouTube channel is doing. It's just a fact, guys. That's literally what it is. And I understand that's just how life is. That's how everything works when it comes to content creation for FIFA, when it comes to content creation for any game or anything that you're doing in life. That's just how it works. When there is traction in a certain area, that's when you attract more people that may be against what you do. That's just how it works, okay? But the reason why I made this video is because I wanted to make it educational and to tell you guys my train of thought as to how I do my player reviews, and how it doesn't make sense for me to try out certain things in game when it's going to be inconsistent anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like with Rooney's shooting, like I said like 3 or 4 times in this video, his shooting is already really good. So the 2 main things that you have to test out, because you're also boosting his pace with the engine and chemistry style, is the one thing I may add to my reviews actually is body type to pace, because Aubameyang should be faster, but because of his body type and dribbling stats, it makes him slower. Stuff like that's very relevant. So that's something that I could add to the player reviews, right? But the biggest thing and the biggest point to the player reviews that I do on my channel, guys, I'm sorry to say, is body type to dribbling and attacking AI. Those are the 2 biggest things, because that's your general experience of playing the game. If your player doesn't move a certain way into certain spaces and you don't have to do the left stick, right stick to control them to move into that area, that's the type of stuff that I analyze. And it's been like this for 1.5 years. This is how I've always done player reviews. It has never changed. This format has always been the same. Like I said, it's becoming more of a thing now because of how well the YouTube channel is doing. That is a huge part, not in part, a huge part thanks to you guys. Because guys, these numbers are crazy, man. These numbers are crazy, guys. When you first start doing content creation, like I would be grateful to hit 1,000 views. 1,000, bro. On YouTube, it's so hard to get 1,000 views. I know, because I did it at that time when I was trying to grow. I did it at the time when I used to do highlight videos of FIFA 15, and I think the videos used to get like 2-3K at the time, right? But this, man, 78, 40, 58, 163, 14 for this guy. You know, I call them the fodder uploads, right? With Van Dijk and stuff. Alphonso Davies is less fodder. 47 Boateng, like 34. Guys, it's insane to me. It is. Even the custom tactics video that I did at the time, 54K, was well received. You guys liked it. And I talk about, even in this video, with the types of players that I have in the team, I talk about attacking AI all the time. It's the biggest thing for me in regards to how my formation is lined up. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Like I said, the format's not going to change, guys. I'm making this video now so that if people want to watch it and they want to, you know, kind of dig into my brain in regards to how I do stuff, then it's there, you know. But, you know, in the future, I'm always going to get people that are going to be opposed to how I do my stuff. That's just how it works. But I'm just telling you guys this right now, that from my experience of playing this game and the type of content that I do, I'm not frauding it up. I'm not like, you know what I'm saying? This is how I experience the game. I will sell a card after the first game. It's always been like this. If I take a look at his stats and they don't perform a certain way, or they don't perform to how I want my team to move because of his base characteristic, that is the whole point we're doing the player reviews for, then I will sell the card. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.